And, you know, I'm not going to pull any punches tonight.
And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. Thank you so much for hanging on and waiting while we set up shop here at The Bald Truth. Excuse me. Had a very interesting night last night, which we will talk about, but I want to first welcome everyone to the broadcast, let you know what it is, why I'm here, why we are here. I'm going to pot up my trusty sidekick, the original hair transplant mentor, the OG when it comes to just about everything gangsta online in this industry. It's Joe Tillman.
What's up?
What's up? What's up, man?
I don't know what this means, but...
You know, I think about that. You know, when I started, and while obviously I was being written about online and talked about online, both good and really ugly stuff, I really didn't spend a tremendous amount of time online. I had one not-so-great drunken post many, many years ago, one of my first forays into the pre-forum world. And that post, which really wasn't that bad, it was essentially just stating what I state on this program all the time, that, you know, the big organization, which was the ISHRS at the time, I believed was, you know, doing a lot of damage at that time back in 1998. And I stated it very clearly after a full night at the Raccoon Lodge.
So all this started in 1998, 20 years ago?
20 years ago. And it was then a guy who believed he was competing against me when I founded the IHRS. He had a kind of a network of sorts that is still somewhat in existence. Decided to find this old post 2 years later and then pass it around the live surgery workshop conference in Orlando on the week that I launched the IHRS, basically showing that this guy is launching this organization to destroy all of you in this room. And that's when all the shit started. I have to tell you, this is the dirtiest fucking industry. I mean, it's been 20 years of fucking dirt and just bad people and just horrible guys who fear competition, or if you're doing something really good, they don't want your voice to be out there telling the truth. And, you know, you and I have both suffered through this. And, you know, listen, when I have doctors coming to me talking about being defamed online or talked about or this and that, or they're worried about it, I'm like, dude, you have no fucking clue. Don't even worry about it, man. Just do your thing, and you're going to be fine.
That's what no one understands. It's like, you know, I've been more online than you have as far as like my direct engagement over the past 16, God, it'll be 16 years. No, 17 years as of now, actually. 17 years ago, I started doing my research and engaging people, asking questions. But over that period of time, there have been so many people that have called me every name in the book and have launched into tirades of, you know, controversy and what's the word I'm looking for?
Just defaming you.
Yeah, just defaming. And it, like in the old days, it used to bug me a little bit, but now it's like I'm still here, and I'm more out there in people's faces than ever, meaning that it's all BS. It doesn't matter what people are saying. And until there's actually video of me dragging a body into the trunk of a car, it's all hearsay. It's all made up.
Well, look, and it is all made up. And what I find interesting is, this started with this one particular person who owns this website, and then his hunchbacked bitch who works for him then decided to carry the baton. And I find it fascinating, the stuff that was actually written years ago. Like, I remember, shit that does not make sense. I don't sell anything to the public, obviously.
Yeah.
The only thing that's sold to the public are my books, and those are sold by my publishers. So the Federal Trade Commission, or the FTC, would have no reason to even take a look at what we do with anything, the IHS or whatever. Also, I work directly with the NAD, which is National Advertising Division of the Better Business Bureau, and their head attorney was the guy that set up the IHS with me under NAD guidelines. That is why we have no online consultation forms, all the stuff that other people are doing that is essentially putting physicians and patients in harm's way, and is questionable as far as the legality of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, long story short, stuff that was actually written by a person who has been paid for years about, false and defamatory stuff about me, I just kind of let it go. And I told the doctors, look, come on, what do you think this is? This is just certainly fear of competition. But the reason I bring this up is that I was contacted today by a guy who's been doing hair transplants for a long time. And, there's two reasons. One, I'll tell you about this guy. He contacted me today, sent me some really interesting images, necrotic tissue from a local hair transplant guy, really bad SMP into a scar. It looked literally like somebody drew a Sharpie on this poor guy's scar. And this is a person who has gotten some bad raps, out there, just false information. This is actually a good guy,
Wait, which is the good guy? The guy that had the
guy that actually contacted me and said that he wants to start to speak on the program, this and that. So, long story short, I look at all of the negative stuff out there about the good people in this field, like yourself, like Spencer Stevenson, like some of the really good doctors out there who are willing to speak up and tell the truth. And then all the bad shit is coming from the guys who are defaming everybody, including the toxicity that has essentially made many physicians and consumers live under a terrible sword of fear and misinformation that has to change. It's time that it ends. 2019 is the year, in my view. Anyone who wants to survive in this field has to change and has to evolve. If there are message forum owners out there or whatever it is, they gotta keep it. They gotta keep it on the up and up. There has to be real transparency out there, not the narrative of transparency, but real transparency. If you're going to be transparent, then be transparent. What we do on Bald Truth Talk is, how we're transparent? We don't let the shit go on, and we tell you it's not going to happen.
Yeah. That's the best transparency one can ask for in this field, because when you're dealing with anonymous people that are sitting at a keyboard and you're reading something they're saying, you have no idea who they are. You have no idea what their motivation is, and you have no idea if what they're saying is actually true. And what I don't like about forums in general is that when you have someone coming out and saying, I had a bad procedure with Dr. X, and is allowed to go on for 3 pages of interaction with other members of a forum talking about how bad that doctor is, without a shred of evidence, without a shred of proof, without a shred of validation of who this person is that's even complaining about the doctor, then that is doing everyone a disservice. The patient, if he's legitimate, the doctor, if he's not, if the person's not legitimate, the forum itself, it makes it's a soap opera, and all it does is it feeds the desire for drama, and it distracts from the idea of getting real, tangible, actionable information for people to do the research on. And it's a massive, well, what it is basically is it's an effort and a tool to control power or to have power.
Well, and I've said that before. Really, it is in my view, a tool to extort and a tool to create a fear-based control. Yeah. And I have spoken to physicians, and I have spoken to, listen, I stopped wasting my breath with these guys. I would say that the majority of physicians in this field who, support all that fucking nonsense, I mean, they're fucking desperate, man. It's sad, actually. It's fucking sad. They have created the toxicity and supported the toxicity of this field. And I remember speaking to a couple of guys, years ago. And they're like, well, that's the way the internet works. I'm like, no, it's not, actually. That's the way that people choose to control their space on the internet. That's the way people choose to control your, essentially, in my view, control your online, your personal online reputation. You're handing that over to people, and you're paying them. I'm going to choose to do things differently, and you guys figure it out for yourselves. That's it. So since I started Bald Truth Talk, I have to tell you that the moderation is getting tougher and tougher now with the Turks and the Indian clinics that are coming out. I mean, it's constantly. I mean, you'll see that it's tough. Sometimes shit's just on there for days because there's so much shit that has to be moderated. And there's so many phony complaints. And there's so many people that have to be put into a complaint moderation, which we used to get shit for. But I can tell you this. We have no back end. We are the only truly transparent.
You need to explain what the back end is, because every time you say that, okay. So what Spencer's talking about is when you have these discussion forums, of all kinds, not just related to hair loss, but discussion forums will oftentimes have the feature of having private messaging between members, and the problem with that is that this registers as traffic to search engines. And it gives a false impression of actual viewership when you're looking at your unique visitors in Google Analytics or whatever. So when you're dealing with these kinds of, and there are other problems with it as well, but when you're looking at traffic numbers online for forums that have back-end messaging systems, and that's what Spencer's talking about with the back end, those numbers are conflated because of the back-end messaging. It's not actual unique visits to the website. The other problems with messaging is it allows for consultants to prey on people. Now, I do say prey. I never did this. That's one of the things I never did. To prey on people, to approach them when they come on and start asking questions and they're green, they're still wet behind the ears, not knowing much about the field, and consultants contacting them directly and saying, hey, I feel your pain. You know what? The doc wants to talk to you and help you out with your case, trying to get patients. And that, to me, I don't dig that. I'm not down with it. Never have been. And that's one of the other issues with having a back end.
Well, my whole thing is that if you're going to be a truly transparent forum, then you have to just let everything be posted online. No one can contact anybody behind the scenes. I understand there are some people want to contact people. They've been to specific doctors, whatever it is. You know what? You're anonymous, motherfuckers. Do it publicly. That's it. Have the conversation on the message forum. That's what it's for. The private system in this particular arena makes it a very dirty place.
If you want private messaging, go to Facebook.
Yeah, it's a very, very dirty place. And people also don't like the idea that we don't, we kind of don't allow people to link to sites to communicate to each other outside of the forum, because we don't know who these people are. Again, are these bad people trying to guide you in the wrong direction to get a cheap hair transplant in some foreign land? Possibly. We've caught a lot of people. So that is the reality. Now, with that said, Bald Truth Talk is still, with no back end, it actually is the most trafficked hair loss and hair transplant forum in the world. Period.
Ooh,
Period.
Another one. When you have back end messaging, the admins can read your messages.
Yes.
I know that for a fact because it's happened to me.
Yeah, I could read everything.
Yeah.
I could read everything. As a matter of fact, when we first started Bald Truth Talk, there was a person who's a well-known moderator on another forum who was not only publicly trying to call out a physician on our forum, but was also doing some stuff behind the scenes on the private messaging system, which we closed down within the first month. Because
how many years? That was like, what, 10 years ago?
That was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, I also find it interesting, and this is for all of the physicians out there, if a forum owner sends you numbers of any kind, claiming this, and the other thing, go look at the public numbers, because whatever they're sending you is complete fucking horse shit. There was something sent to a doctor recently from a forum owner in another country, and I had to fucking laugh. And if this guy's listening, I hope that he is. I had to laugh. It's like, A, what's the point of this? And B, these are fabricated numbers. Don't you understand how this makes you look in the eyes of physicians you were trying to work with? The whole thing, this whole industry is so fucking corrupt and dirty. And you know who suffers the most? Everyone's jockeying for position to make $1. Look, I've already made my money. And I say that and it sounds obnoxious. You don't have to worry about me, guys. I will continue to make money. And I'm not trying to take your fucking money. You can make all the money you want. But what kills me most is that you guys are willing to sacrifice the safety of patients, both you physicians out there who are assholes and the online people out there who are assholes, out of fear of either not being seen as prominently as we are, or out of fear of some sort of bizarre competition which doesn't exist. We are all in this together. So what? I figured out a way. Yeah, you guys go get fucking published and get on the radio for 15 years. And then maybe you wouldn't have to worry about rubbing two fucking nickels together. Jesus, sorry. 888-659-3727. We have a full board today. Oh, by the way, why don't you give a shout out to those forums who actually do support what we're doing?
Absolutely. First up, we've got the Italians, bellicapelli.forumfree.it. It is a funny name, but hey, Italian's kind of funny. Love Italians. bellicapelli.forumfree.it is primarily an Italian-based website, but they've got awesome information, great results from all kinds of doctors, and doctor engagement as well. And if you're using a modern-day browser, then, of course, it translates into the language of your choice. Same thing with international-hairlossforum.com, primarily a French-based forum. Same as above with Belly Capelli. Great interaction, great engagement by clinics and the reps and doctors. That's international-hairlossforum.com. And then finally, we've got hairlossexperiences.com, primarily an English-based forum, but all kinds of traffic from all over the world because they've got all kinds of patients and doctors from all over the world. Go check them out, hairlossexperiences.com.
And there is the UK number for you guys who are watching on Hair Loss Experiences. Also, the UK number is good for other countries in Europe as well. Phone number is 0203-3724-683. Give us a call. Let's take a call. See who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, Joe and Spencer. It's Dave. How you guys doing?
Dave. How are you, man?
Hey, all right, not too bad. So I got my surgery with Dr. Bloxham about a year ago.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that Dave. Yeah, how's it going?
That Dave. Yep. Yeah, it's good. It's very good. It turned out very, very well. A lot better from where I was. I was like a 5A, Norwood 5A before the surgery.
Yep.
So I'm in a good spot now. So
I'm really
you sent me pictures earlier, right?
I did, yeah, like maybe a couple months ago.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I remember that. So,
Yeah, so
how's the
improvement.
progress so far?
It's really good. It's those areas that I was concerned with, they started to thicken up a little bit. I mean, it's a little thin in the front a little bit, but it's from where it was before. I'm very happy.
Behind the frontal hairline, right? You had the frontal hairline and the area behind it that you were concerned about. That's still a little thin.
Right. It's thickened up a little bit, but like where it's at now, I'm pretty satisfied.
Okay. Good.
So
That's
okay.
what matters. And you're
Right.
how far out now? A year?
I'm about a year and a month. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Year and a month. Yeah. So I got another question for you guys. So I called up. The thing is now that he wasn't able to work in the crown, Dr. Bloxham, because there wasn't enough grafts. If I wanted to address the crown, I would have to come back a year later. That's the way he works. Maybe that's the way all surgeons work. I don't know. But I'd rather not go under the knife. And it's not the biggest deal in the world to have a bald spot in the crown because a lot of guys have that. However, if I can do something about it, I would like to. So I called up Eric at Head Inc. You know, Head Inc.?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay. I called him up and I asked him if he could help me, and he said that he would be able to help me. I sent him pics, but I'm confused as to what exactly what he would do. I mean, is he going to tattoo my bald spot so it looks like somebody drew in with like somebody colored in my bald? I don't understand how he's going to.
He's actually going to get a stick of shoe polish.
That's what I'm
just
saying.
Rub it.
How's he going to do this?
No,
you
it's
know?
well, he's using trichopigmentation. He was trained by Milena Lardi of Milan, Italy, at Beauty Medical, and the trichopigmentation procedure allows for him to thicken thin spots. So in your case, is your crown bald or is it just thin? Like there's still hair there, it's just thin.
Bald. It's pretty. I mean, there's like little wispy, tiny hairs, but if you look at it head on, It's white. It's just a big white spot against dark hair. I have really dark hair and a big white spot there.
And did he talk to you about the length of your hair on the sides and back?
Well, I keep that very short. I mean, it's long now because I need a haircut. But are you saying I should keep my hair short in the back otherwise?
Well,
or
okay.
Long?
So the problem with S&P or tricho in general is that the challenge is realism. And the shorter your hair is, the more realistic the procedure will, or the results of the procedure will look. Because you can't replicate longer hairs with this treatment. Okay, you can only replicate the stubble from a shaved appearance. Now, the reason why I ask you about the amount of hair in your crown currently, your native hair, is because if there is a decent amount of hair, then it's great for thickening. It's almost like a long-term topic, but not quite as dense, because with topic you're actually covering all the scalp where you're sprinkling it. With this, there's still visible areas of skin in between each dot, just like with stubble, right?
If you have and what Joe is saying, and I don't mean to interrupt you, Joe, but I do all the time because I got to get this out. What Joe is saying is essentially, if you don't have enough hair in the crown, you're gonna look ridiculous. You have to have very short hair.
No, hang on. I wasn't saying that because
that's what I'm saying.
That's what I was saying about the length of his hair around the back and the sides, because if it depends on how it's blended. Your case, this is sight unseen. You're saying it's, it looks bald, but it might not be bald. It's all a perspective issue, but it could be blended properly, but you would be limited with the length of your hair, meaning that you'd have to get back to your barber quick on a regular schedule, because you don't want your hair getting too long to where it looks like you've got this this chasm of discoloration that no longer looks like it's dots. So it's gonna
look like, okay, why does this guy have long hair on the sides of his head, and then he has a big dark spot on his crown?
It would be more like a shaded spot. It would look like tiny. It would be like possibly from a social distance, why did this guy shave his crown down all the way to stubble and leave the rest of his hair long?
There you go. That's a great way of describing it. Not to mention from your profile, it's like, why has this guy got, this flat area to the back of his head's profile?
Hey, that's what I have.
No, not like this. No, at least you have hair there, But
that's true.
I would look. I trust Eric. I think that he's one of the best in the world at this trichopigmentation game. And I would trust his judgment with dealing with your case. I'm just speaking in generalities because I don't recall what your crown looks like. And he may discuss the full issue with you in greater detail. I don't know. But consider the concerns that we brought up, discuss it with him, and see what he says.
Let me ask you, have you tried to use any concealers yet, just to see what you look like with a darker crown?
I have. I've tried to put a little bit of topic on it, but there's really not much for it to stick. And also, because there's so little hair for it to stick, it's going to blow in the wind. And, I move around a lot at work, and there's going to be streaks. It's going to get off on the pillow, and
now that's actually interesting. I think that's an interesting point that you made. If you don't have enough hair for topic to even look remotely okay, it's possible you're not going to have enough hair for SMP.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So have you tried anything like Derm Match?
Derm Match is it's what you use, right, Spencer?
It is what I use. It's basically like a compact makeup that you have an applicator and you kind of rub it on your scalp. You can either do it wet or dry. I do it dry, and then I put a little hairspray, and I basically blend, because my hair is salt and pepper, I use a dark color, but I blend it into the hair so that it doesn't look like there's like a big round spot in the back of my head. So it's a process, but it works.
I don't know. So let me get this straight. So I'll come into work one day with a bald spot, and the next day I'm going to have a makeup on my head that's just essentially no bald spot.
It depends on how you work it, my man. You could start off with just working around the perimeter of your bald spot and slowly closing it up, and all of a sudden people are going to be like, "Holy shit, this guy grew his hair back."
Yeah, exactly. What if Eric were to just tone down the contrast between dark hair and light skin, just make that area darker?
Well, that's what they do.
That's exactly what he does anyway. That's what this procedure does. It darkens areas of fair colored skin or any colored skin with black dots that aren't quite really black. It's like a really dark gray.
And here's the good news. If it doesn't work out, it's going to fade.
It goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes away.
Yeah, right.
But the bad news with that is, and I put this out there, and listen, I think that SMP or trichopigmentation has its place. A lot of people really love it, but it's a situation that if you really like it, you're a customer for life, man. That's it.
$500 to maintain it every 2 years, right? Something like that.
It may take less. It may take 6 months in your case. It could take 4 months. It could take 7 months. Everybody's physiology is different. They can talk about averages, but you're not the average, dude. You're just yourself. So you have no idea how long it's going to last.
Yep.
Right. Now, you guys say short on the size. Now, how short are we talking? I mean, we're talking down to a 2 or a 1? Because I remember I also have a transplant scar in the back, so I can't really go that short.
Exactly. That's the challenge. So, look, in cases, you got a strip scar, so that means that nothing's going to be the same as far as the length that you can go to or the styles that you might want to have. But there are ways to be creative. And I mean, it's really involved. I mean, I don't want to take up the show talking about how to cut your hair, but
because we have some more calls.
You could go as short as you. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. I would talk to Eric about also maybe tapping in that donor scar with tricho as well. Have you talked to him about that?
No, I haven't. No, But
Okay.
listen, you guys say Eric's the best in the business, and if he
I didn't
says
say
that
he's
he
the
can help
best.
me,
I think he's one of the best.
I haven't said a fucking word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spencer hasn't said a fucking thing. I know him
All
personally.
right.
I've known him for a few years, and I know the dedication. I mean, this
Well,
guy
I do know that
practiced
he's
for 2 years before he even opened his doors.
I do trust Joe's judgment, and I actually know somebody who is a guy that I've known for many years, who ended up becoming a model for this guy Eric, and he's very happy. He was stuck under a hairpiece, or he said it, he felt he was stuck under a hairpiece for like 20 years, and they freed him, and now he kind of just walks around with a tattoo on his head, and he likes it.
There you go. Well, you don't see a lot of guys with just bald spots, so that's why I'm concerned. You see a lot of guys that are completely bald, like in their before and afters on their website, but you don't see any, bald spots. But
there's a reason for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
All right,
and
man.
also, Eric's a patient. He's a patient of Dr. Feller's too, so he knows.
Well,
the struggle.
he's a
But,
patient of a few doctors,
doctors,
not just Dr.
a
F.
few doctors.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, listen, I appreciate the help.
All right, man. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
All right,
Thanks
a
for
lot.
the call. Phone number 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey guys, how you doing? It's Nico.
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 What's happening, man? How are you?
Merry Christmas.
Good, man. Yeah, you guys having a good, happy holidays yourself?
Yeah.
And Dave that just called, I meant to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to you too. So
I went to some crazy holiday party last night, which we'll talk about. But
Sure.
yeah, so what's going on?
Couple questions for you. One's a finasteride question, and one's a surgery strategy question. As sad as that sounds.
All right.
So as far as finasteride and body hair loss, in your guys' experience, I know that you talked about maybe losing some arm hair and whatnot. How did that go as far as the loss itself? Was it sort of patchy loss to start, and then sort of you became bare in those areas, or how did that go for you guys personally?
For me, I just noticed that I had not much more, but I had more hair in my hands, and that it kind of just, like on the sides here, which just kind of slowly disappeared, just did not continue to grow in a robust fashion. And I don't think I lost any hair in my arms, but it's mostly like I noticed it on my hands for sure, which I'm fine about. But I'm essentially like a 10-year-old Swedish boy anyway. I'm like some Asian kid. For whatever reason, I have a full beard, but I don't have much body hair to begin with.
Right.
But I definitely noticed a decrease in that area of body hair, which was certainly not a loss. I actually appreciated that.
Yeah, and it went pretty bare, you said?
Yeah, oh no, I mean, I still have vellus hair, but I mean, it just looks nice and youthful, and, I don't have to worry about knuckle hair and shit like that.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
Yeah,
for me personally, I've noticed a lot of lower leg hair loss and loss in the back of my leg, so just trying to figure shit out.
Do you wear mid-level socks to work every day?
Yeah, so I did think about the friction factor.
It is.
It's actually the most common. You see most guys. How old are you, Nico?
44.
Yeah, most guys in their 40s. If you see them in shorts, they have this very distinct demarcation.
Yeah,
it's like the most common thing in the world. People have called me for years. I'm like, dude, there's a situation with your socks, but there's also a genetic component to that too in men. I forgot what the fuck it's called, and I should know this.
I noticed it with my dad. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the way that it is, man.
Cool.
For me, it's barely affected me. In fact, if I were to show you my chest, I won't because it's a family program.
Thank you.
I can almost pick my own teeth with
Dude, this is
so long.
This is all the hair I have in my chest. I'm telling you, I'm like an Asian guy. There's just like strands of hair.
Comedy.
I'm like a character in a 1950s Greek warrior movie. Just like, I mean, if I had body hair transplant, I could just rebuild my entire head of hair. There's so much, and it actually kind of matches my scalp hair. It's dark brown and not so curly. So,
dude, I'm telling you, I laid on his chest. All right, we were drunk. And it was like a pillow. It was beautiful.
Cuddling.
Yeah.
He had to kind of work his head down to actually get to the chest. Anyway.
Oh, my God.
FSK says, Joe has a Robin Williams chest. Yes,
Oh,
I
boy.
do. That's a perfect analogy, and very little on my back, plenty on my palms, but that's another story. But no, it's never.
That was a masturbation joke for all of you UK guys out there.
Thank you. Beard, the beard has suffered greatly. I used to get like this in 4 days. Now it takes 5. So that's all I got for you. But
Yeah, I have the strength
doctors
in
I
the
know
beard and
personally
chest,
have
too.
had the issue. I know patients have talked about it, and it's more of a vellus issue, like Spencer was saying. It's not like it just suddenly stops growing and falls out in patches, some sort of telogen effluvium all over your body. It doesn't work like that. It's just a gradual decrease in the hardiness of the hair.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And I guess the surgery strategy question is, if you're already going in, and I already had one procedure, if your sides are dropping and you're not on medication, you're fucking yourself. But if your sides are dropping, should that pretty much be the focus if you're going for a second surgery? I know it's relative, but what do you think?
So you're talking about your parietal humps to keep that connection?
Yeah, I mean, whether it be parietal, I'm forgetting the other humps.
It's parietal.
The other humps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it.
Or sides in general.
Yeah.
But should that be the focus?
Wait.
of the
Okay.
next surgery?
Sorry. Dropping or
Sorry, go
moving
ahead.
back?
Lowering on the
sides.
sides.
Okay, lowering on the sides. Okay, so
you're worried about a separation between your recreated hairline and the sides of your scalp. The parietal humps are slowly receding. Is that what you're saying? Down.
Yeah, and even in the back, where the back and by the crown, that area too.
I'm going to let Joe answer this. Obviously, he's been in the trenches and he's had 9 hair transplants, but that is an issue that most physicians will never talk about. They're not going to warn you about it in the future and say, look, currently your parietal humps seem to be relatively strong, but they look like they may be miniaturizing. I don't want to go in there and cause shock loss, so we're going to create this hairline now, but we will have to go back if finasteride doesn't stop the process.
Right.
No one hears that shit, man. But it's pretty common.
I'm asking. Okay.
My feelings on the subject are this. Okay, my parietal humps were obliterated before I even had my third procedure, my first repair procedure with Dr. Wong. They were already gone. The sides were dropping. The sides had receded backward and they had dropped. So I was already in a bad position. That was fixed. But here's the thing. I've had a shit ton of work done, and the area where my parietal humps used to be is still not what they were before they left. So this is a valuable lesson that you can never get back that which you've already lost to the same density on many levels with any surgery. Okay, it's just the only reason why you can get hairlines to look as thick as they can appear is because you're putting a lot more grafts in, and the way that light is hitting the hairline when you're looking at someone, that also determines the illusion of density. All right.
Right.
But when it comes to the actual dropping of the parietal humps and the donor region in general on the sides, because that is part of the donor region, I don't look at that as a priority unless you're going to be really, going with a short haircut. And even then, I don't think it's a priority unless it really bugs you. And here's why.
Okay.
When you have a hair transplant and you already have a lot of loss, once you start buzzing down, there's no fooling anyone. You can't fool someone into thinking that you got a full head of hair or a fullish head of hair once you shaved your head down, because all the weak spots are no longer covered. The hair around those weak spots is not long enough to cover those weak spots, and that's how hair transplants work. Okay?
Sure.
I'll never forget this. After my last big hair transplant, which was, Jesus, I forgot which number, the last one I had in 2010, 8 years ago, actually, 8 years, 2 months ago, I shaved my head down just like I did old school after the first and second one, so that I could see what it looked like and to show the world what it looks like to have so much work done and shave your head and show people that it still looks thin as hell. That's the reality of what we're doing. It's all an illusion, okay?
Oh, sure.
And so I think that when you look at nature, parietal humps drop even on people that have relatively high density native hair throughout the entire top of their scalp. I've seen it happen many times. One of my good friends has that. He has a really bald crown. His parietal humps have dropped, but he still has plenty of hair on top. And like if I were to put him online saying 2,500 grafts before and after, people would believe me because it's a typical pattern that a good physician would place graft work on an advanced Norwood 7. And it would look fine, but it's natural. And I've seen those channels develop from the humps and the parietal region dropping without the top actually thinning out. I've seen that happen. It's a natural progression. And if you're going to keep your hair longer, then it's less of a priority because when your hair is longer, guess what? You can cover it up.
Yeah, exactly.
And I would rather do that than have surgery just to address something where I'll never get it back to the way it was to begin with. It's a fool's errand. It really is. However,
and so when you had your... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Moving forward, if you do wind up having another procedure for continued loss on top, then you can address it. You can put some in to kind of, thicken up a little bit and make it a little bit less of an issue. But to go in and just do that area, I think that you should adjust your hairstyle instead.
Okay. Yeah, most people just use it for coverage sake as opposed to for density sake. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
there you
go. Excellent. I really appreciate the info, commentary.
And just to address our brother from another mother, token black guy, Becketerra Lion. For me, it's the opposite, Joe. When I buzz my hair down, it looks super full in comparison when I let it grow. When I let it grow, it looks super thin and patchy in some areas. Maybe it's the Afrocentric hair thing. It is, but it's also the Afrocentric skin thing. There's less contrast. So on pasty white guys like me and Nico, when we don't have the hair to cover the pasty whiteness of our scalp, then it becomes more apparent. So there are exceptions to every rule. I mean, I tell some people that if they're thinning, to go ahead and buzz their head because it can make it look fuller. But for this specific case, that would be a bad idea. So I hope that makes sense and that clarifies it. So
yeah, tasty. But all right, fellas, I want you to get to other calls. Have a great holiday. I'll be in touch soon, obviously.
I'm sorry, what were you guys talking about?
Right, you.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the marketing guy. I was just talking to the forum guy, right?
Yeah. All right, dude, listen.
No, I'm kidding.
Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck. Merry Christmas. And I think Joe's advice is obviously great advice. I mean, you don't want, like you said, I like that, a fool's errand. That was very well said, Joe.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Nico.
Yeah. All right,
take
I'll
care.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.
All right, take care, buddy. Happy holidays.
You too. Take care.
How you like that? I wasn't even listening, and I was able to pull that out.
Good job.
Dude, when you do this shit all day, this is your life. You can make believe you're truly interested in the conversation. Pull out one phrase, and you're gold.
And you repeat it, and it's like Spencer was listening.
Yeah, I'm just joking, guys. I was listening. 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, this is Mohammed from New Jersey.
Mohammed from New Jersey. Welcome.
Yeah, so I've called a few months before. So I'm the one who's been like shedding like crazy the past couple of years. So I started, I think I told you previously, I started Dr. Wesley's topical in June. It's a topical finasteride. And I made like a really dumb mistake the past couple of months. I should have like clarified with the clinic, but I was using it basically one spray. I was using one. The label actually says apply 3 to 5 sprays on a clean scalp once daily. So I was applying 3 to 5 sprays in total, like throughout the entire scalp, but I was supposed to but I was supposed to do 3 to 5 sprays in one area, like in one, for example, in the temple, 3 to 5, and then you move to the mid scalp. But I was doing like one spray in the temple, one spray in the middle. So that I changed doing that like past month. So since the past month, I've been doing 3 to 5 in my temple region and my mid scalp, and then my right and left temple. So, but still, like overall, like I just keep thinning, like I just keep shedding and thinning, like especially the past couple months, like every week, it just seems like my hair volume is like lighter than the previous week. And especially like if I go out and if it's like windy, like I just feel like air, like my hair just feels so like airy. And like that, it wasn't like that last year, even though I was shedding last year too. But it's like, it really depresses me, like especially after getting out the shower and then like getting ready for work and stuff. Like thank God, like my hair still, it's still like, it's kind of long and curly and black. So nobody at work or anything can sense that. I'm like,
so Muhammad, let me ask you this. I don't mean to cut you off, but what is your question?
So I want to transition. I feel that the finasteride, I feel topical finasteride isn't really I don't know if it's really working or not. But I really want to try to transition into the oral, because I think that's like the only last resort for me at this point. And if you were to transition to oral, like, would you kind of just, if I apply it 7 days a week, right, would you slowly cut off to like, let's say half of it, like 3 days a week?
Well,
And then
normally I would say that you want to slowly wean yourself off of the product. But since you say that you're continuing to shed relatively, significantly, and you're noticing that you're having less volume as each week progresses, I don't necessarily see a tremendous downside in just starting your finasteride and, maybe just going down to once or twice a week if you're concerned about weaning off your topical. You could go through a shed just from taking oral finasteride to begin with. You could be shedding because of the topical finasteride right now,
Right.
but you've been doing it for a long time. It's kind of a tough call. And again, both Joe and I are not physicians. However,
Right.
based on my experience, if you are in an active shed, that actually gives you a certain level of freedom that those who have retained their hair don't, and want to switch medications, or that have slowed things down and are trying to either move over to a stronger dosage or add a topical. They don't have that type of latitude, in my view, that a guy who's going through an active shed. Because in my view, when you say active, when you say a lot, how many hairs on average do you think you're shedding a day?
Oh, like definitely like over 200. Like the other day, I just kind of like wiped my scalp over. I was like really pissed, like upset, and I just wiped my scalp over like the sink, and that was just like 50 hairs alone. And like, even though I showered in the morning, it's definitely it's a lot. And then on the pillow, there's like a few hairs, and then sometimes at my work desk.
Yeah,
So
Joe. What do you think?
Well, let me get a clarification. How long have you been taking the topical? Since June?
Yeah, but I think more like I'm using it better, like more properly now, because like I started the better dose, because I started 3 to 5 in each area last month, but
Okay.
I did start it in June.
Did you notice any sort of change in your volume of shedding or the rate of shedding since you started the topical?
Not when I started it. I would say the shedding. I would say in the summer the shedding picked up a lot. Well, actually around August the shedding picked up a lot. I don't know why.
I do. Keep going.
But yeah, around August, the shedding picked up, and then. But even though I've always been shedding, I just feel it's just getting thinner. I've like receded a lot in my temples like the past couple of weeks. It just seems like that.
Yeah. So the reason why it could have picked up is because it was actually working. You're having a natural response that a lot of people have to the medication where, some people that aren't really shedding or noticeably shedding and they start taking the medication, I'll get emails or I used to get phone calls, people losing their shit like, oh my God, I'm starting to shed. What's going on? Well, you're having a reaction that is indicative usually of being a good thing, where it's resetting the growth cycles, and then another few months you power through and your hair comes back thicker, or at the very least the same as it was before. So that is one, I think that's one possibility, because it started in August and it usually lasts for a few months. So you might be on the tail end of it. I'm not a doctor, I'm just guessing here, but you could actually be on the tail end of it. So what Spencer was saying makes sense. Like, you're already losing your hair, but one thing that I would be concerned about is, what if it's actually preventing more shedding, or you're having you're on the tail end of a medically induced shed before things start getting better, and then you change things up. I personally think that at 6 months, because you're basically at 6 months using this, it would be a bad idea to just quit cold turkey and switch over to the oral. Right. I think that weaning yourself off, I would say, how often are you using it? Twice a day?
No, once a day.
Oh, that's right. Once a day. Okay. So I would use it every other day for, say, 2 weeks. Okay. And then on the days that you're not using the topical, then introduce the oral. And then kind of wean yourself off of one and onto the other over the next several weeks. Try that. Because I'm a big believer in trying to reach an equilibrium. I mean, it's not like you know that you're reaching an equilibrium, but an equilibrium as far as your intake or your application. Out with one and in with another. And do it slowly so that your body isn't like, hey, what the hell's going on, and reacting adversely. Is there any sort of, evidence to back this up? No, it's all anecdotal. It's from observation and just, but I think that makes sense. And I would hate for you to stop cold turkey and then your shed, for whatever reason it's happening, suddenly picking up and becoming even worse and making it more of a depressing issue for you. So
yeah, what Joe said.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, I'm probably gonna send you pictures next time so you can better see. But that's it for now.
All right, Mohammed. Listen, we wish you the best of luck. I know how stressful it can be when you're watching your hair go down the drain, literally. And but trust me, from someone who has been through it, it can be stopped. You do have a possibility, and I have never been a huge fan of topicals to begin with. I do know that topical finasteride can work for those who do not do well with oral finasteride. It is a relatively new product. What I mean by new is, it's been around for several years and people have been compounding it for several years. But I'm still not aware of the long-term efficacy of topical finasteride. Maybe Joe has more information on that than I do. I doubt it, but it's possible. But I do know that oral finasteride fucking works, and it works for a lot of people who use it. So I wish you the best of luck, man.
All right, thank you. Happy holidays.
You too, man.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas and all that stuff. Bye. Bye. Phone number is 888-659-3727. Guys, we are on the air for as long as you guys decide to call in. So if we do not receive any more phone calls, I am calling it a day. It is Friday. I went to a very interesting Super LA Christmas party last night.
I love it. Super LA.
Super LA. Like LA, ridiculous LA. First of all, I've never seen so many Russian broads in my life. And LA, I mean, it is like Russian girls are just flocking to Los Angeles. And I'm not just talking to the strip clubs. I am talking there everywhere. And it's interesting. It's certainly interesting. So I go to this place, and it is in the heart of West Hollywood. It's a very hip place. Even with an invite, there's a line to get in because they were at full capacity. And I mean, there were grown men walking around in like wearing stuff like Sergeant Pepper's jacket, the jackets in Sergeant Pepper, and like just crazy shit. Like I'm talking about guys in their 50s, man. And it's just like, now I really appreciated being invited. I was invited by a very nice guy who's a plastic surgeon here in Beverly Hills, and he knows a lot of LA hip people. But I'm going to say this, and this is not to judge anybody. But like, when do people stop trying so hard? Like, there's got to be a time when you just kind of like sit back and say, you know what, I'm really comfortable in my own skin. I don't need to wear the metallic silver horn-rimmed glasses and the black tails with jeans.
Hey, man, some people just got to express themselves, right?
Yeah.
And what better places to do that than L.A.?
Look,
right? So just stop putting down, man.
I'm going to tell you, and this guy and I appreciate how sincere he was and how passionate he was, and he actually got me believing in this shit. So I don't know, maybe it's true. I met a guy who makes magic wands. Okay? That's all I'm saying.
You sent me that message. I'm like, is there a punchline to this or something?
And he takes it out of his boot and he shows it to me, and I touched it. I'm like, I hope this is good magic. But and he's telling me about the metaphysics of it all, and just the engineering that it took to develop this, and the crystals and all this stuff. And I'm sitting there like, I have to tell you, it's really, I mean, I have to admire this guy's fucking passion, because he fucking believed this shit. And I'm not saying it's not true. Maybe it is magic, because some hot chick asked me for my Instagram, so it must have been magical.
Something was magical.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because you're talking about how LA it was, and Dave in the chat room says the guy with the Durmatch compact.
Dude, I was doing that in New York, my man.
I get the point. It's funny.
Yeah, I get the point too, and I'm very offended, by the way. No, but it was just like dudes wearing red pants and this like really bizarre configurations of facial hair, and
see, I don't know.
And
I don't think that.
The women. I mean, while there were some really super smoking broads, it was just like, I don't know, there's just a certain vapidness. And this is just, I don't know they can't all really actually be this way, but it appears that it's this way. So I'm outside after this chick who's like, told me it was her rebirth day, by the way. It wasn't her birthday, but it took her 29 years or whatever it is for her rebirth. So today was her rebirth. Yesterday was her rebirth day. And so I wished her a happy rebirth day.
Is that like a code for like anniversary of her plastic surgery?
I have no idea. She didn't look like she had any plastic surgery. She was young, and she just looked like, she's
really 73, but she looked young.
she was pretty, not like that super ridiculous plastic surgery porn stars that were walking around. Just a pretty young girl, or whatever, 29 or whatever she is. Mm-hmm. And I guess the young people call it hitting you up for your Instagram. So that apparently is how people connect today. They don't ask for each other's number anymore. They ask for their Instagram. I had a laugh when I gave this person my Instagram, because all I have on my Instagram are pictures of like pizza, me playing pool on my pool table.
That's hilarious.
And she's going to find out that she's dealing with the guy that talks about baldness.
For a living.
For a living. And I was just like...
But here's the thing. You may be a guy that talks about baldness and hair loss for a living, but you're at that party, which means that you're someone.
Well, yes, I guess I am.
There. Yeah.
What's funny is this guy invited me. I said that, I'll probably just be coming alone. He's like, dude, you do not want to bring sand to this beach.
It's like bringing a bucket of water to the swimming pool.
Yeah. And I have to tell you, it was insane. So I'm outside. I'm done with the night. I'm getting my car. And this beautiful Russian chick, she was like 23 or 24 years old. She's dropped off by an Uber. I guess she went someplace else, and she had parked her car there, and she didn't know that it was $10, and she had very little. All she had was $7 in cash. And I see her there struggling. She's like, "Will you take $7?" in her heavy accent. So I'm sitting there waiting for my car. I'm like, here's $3. I felt bad for the girl.
Yeah.
Wrong move, man. Wrong move. All of a sudden, it was just like asking me a million questions. What I do. What were you doing at the party? I decided to leave the party. She said she lives around Beverly Hills. Do you want to meet somewhere for a drink? And I'm just like, most people would be like, that's very exciting. She's a young, beautiful girl. I'm like, this girl is going to try to fucking rob me or some shit. Or she's a hooker. Isn't that horrible how cynical I am?
So 7 hours later, Spencer's walking down the freeway wearing his underwear.
Look, I came back with one shoe. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, well, hey, good stories.
But what I realize is, look, and this is I'm not judging anybody because these are some really successful people at this party. One guy was I'm not going to say who he was, but he was a guy who is known for his work with the UFC. There were a lot of really well-known plastic surgeons who are on television a lot. There were some well-known entertainers, celebrities, people you've seen in the movies, all that stuff. But it's just, I don't know, maybe it's my age or maybe it's just the way I've always been. I don't love the scene, man. I don't love the scene. I go for business, but the social scene is just very odd to me, man. And that's my little Christmas story.
It's a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with the excitement of meeting a magic wand maker, and then rescuing a young Russian. I can't call her starlet. Young Russian.
This guy would have given her the car
chick.
Anyway. But I was just like, she just seems so like she goes, "Oh, I have credit cards."
You had to rescue. That's
Yeah.
fine. Oh, wait. She's taking an Uber and all I have are credit cards?
She says all she has is credit cards.
Why couldn't she use a credit card?
Valet doesn't take a credit card.
Ooh, got it.
She Ubered back from some other party that she was at to get her car at the valet.
Got it. Now I understand. I think you left the valet part out.
No, I did not.
Roll the tape back, please.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, listen, that's it. That's our Christmas show. Merry fucking Christmas, motherfuckers! Because
Merry fucking Christmas, mofos.
You're not calling in, so we're gonna go. If you want to give us a call, I'll stick around. 888-659-3727. But if not, we're gonna call it a night. Joe already gave out the websites. I will give out Joe's website, which is hairtransplantmentor.com. For everything Joe Tillman, if you want to learn about Joe's journey, why he is known as the original hair transplant mentor, that's the place to go. And also to get a lot of good information about hair transplantation and this crazy field that we are dealing with. Our websites are thebaldtruth.com for archives of this broadcast and also segments of this broadcast. Please take the time to subscribe to thebaldtruth.com. It helps us. Also, iTunes. Go to iTunes. Subscribe to the show, to the podcast. Just do it. Just do it. It's not a hard thing. We want you to subscribe to the podcast. I promise you there will be more podcasts put up on a regular basis, probably a couple of times a week. And my goal for next year, for 2019, is to be able to tell you when the podcast will be dropped, because that's a new thing that you got to start doing for the podcast. So that's go to iTunes, The Bald Truth, and subscribe. Also, Joe Tillman's personal YouTube page. A lot of you guys are watching or listening to the show through that page. That is youtube.com/hairtransplantmentor. Make sure that you subscribe to the page and ring that bell so that you get notifications every time we go live on his page. What else? IHRS.org is the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. Check out the IHRS if you're considering surgical hair restoration. Remember, it is, or it should be, your first step when you're doing your research. It's a safe place to start to do your research. Now, I say this all the time. We're talking about cosmetic surgery, guys. You could be fucked up by the best doctor in the world. It happens. So be prepared. Hope for the best. Be prepared for the worst. You're dealing with a situation that, this is not an exact science, no matter what people say. Let's see. BaldTruthTalk.com is our message forum. Look, guys, it's heavily moderated. If you can't deal with that, go to one of the other message forums. That's what I'm saying. And you know what? I am so unconcerned about competition, like some of these other message forum guys. I would say I prefer you go to one of the other message forums, see what that's all about, and then come to BaldTruthTalk.com to get truly transparent information. That's BaldTruthTalk.com. I just lost my voice. .com. Put a little
emphasis back on that.
Peter Brady there. That's an old
Was that the Hawaiian episode?
That's an old reference. No, that wasn't, but that was a great episode. That was when
that was a great episode.
He was trying. He had they were getting their band together, and his voice was changing, and they sang that song. It's time to change, and that makes me very old. Anyway, guys, until next time, be strong. God bless. Merry Christmas, and thank you so much for listening. Have a good day and night.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.
You're a smart motherfucker. That's right.
Bud Light presents Real American Heroes.
Real American heroes.
Today we salute you, Mr. Really Bad Toupee Wearer.
Mr. Really Bad Toupee Wearer.
More than any neon sign or explosion.